Good morning, everyone out there. Dr.
Good
Tina,
morning.
hello.
Hey, thank you. Good morning. Good morning, MJ. Good morning, Dr. Chris. This is going to be a great call. We also have another guest on today. We'll introduce her in a moment. And today's call is really, it's going to sound like maybe it's kind of basic, but you all would not believe, and I'm sure some of you practitioners or doctors on the line will understand this. The first thing that we talk about when we're talking about health and wellness with our clients is how much water do you drink? And it is just amazing to us that people think that one glass of water might be okay for the day. And if we really look at the statistics, 75% of adults suffer, get this, from chronic dehydration. You know, and water is youth, as we put in our topic, our subject line, but water is life. And it's so intrinsically connected to life. Water is just, it's everywhere. And if you counted all of the molecules in the human body, 99% of them would be water. So we need to keep replenishing our bodies. We have to be putting water back in because we're constantly using that water, and there are certain lifestyle and things that we do that actually dehydrate our body. It pulls that water out of our body. And I want to give you some of the signs of dehydration. Whenever you feel thirsty, you're already dehydrated. So if you are in this point where you're extremely thirsty, or you have that dry or sticky mouth, you need to start hydrating right away. There are people that have signs of fatigue, confusion, or anger. And we don't realize this, but when we have dehydration, it can affect our mood and our cognitive functions. So if you think about it, it's really important for especially the young or the elderly. And make sure that you're hydrating yourself. Dry eyes or blurred vision. This can happen after you're exercising for a long time, or you're sweating, or your overall body fluids go down. So this is where we end up with those dry eyes or blurred vision, headaches or disorientation. If somebody has chronic headaches, I ask them, how much water do you drink? You'd be surprised if you have a headache and you start to rehydrate your body, those headaches can go away without doing anything else. Muscle cramping, very important if you have muscle cramps. Lack of sweat, if you're not sweating, this means you don't have enough fluids in your body. If you have dark urine, that's another sign. Constipation, shriveled and dry skin. And if you're dehydrated, your skin will lack that elasticity. And so you can pinch your skin, like on your arm, and if it appears thin and doesn't melt back into your body quickly, you're dehydrated. That's one easy way to check for hydration. So hopefully these are helpful signs. Dr. Chris, do you have anything to add here?
No, let's talk a little bit about the energy side of how important water is. So we emphasize, on our calls that we are energy beings first and foremost, and that at the core, we are created from the photoelectric light that's from the sun, the electromagnetic magnetism from the earth, that we exist on, and the crystalline water that is the carrier for these electromagnetic forces. So water is how we decipher our environmental signals. Water is not just a fluid, it's an ionic plasma that imprints information and energies. So in our body, it has like a fourth phase, because what we learned, in grade school, in our education, we were taught that water exists, as a gaseous state in the form of steam, liquid that we're all familiar with, and then a solid form of ice. But it's this crystalline form of water that has been newly discovered. And this is the water that's manufactured by our mitochondria.
Oh, we lost you. Dr. Chris, we lost your voice.
Tuned off there. So the water in our cells is like a gel, and it's different than the water, let's say, in our that we think of that's in our blood and our lymph and the urine that we excrete. So it's the only substance that we're aware of that exists in this fourth state. And this is what we're going to share with you a little bit more today, because TeloYouth helps make this cellular structured water by supporting the mitochondria and this ionic charge that happens. If you were on one of our previous presentations, you remember the blood slides, and the blood slides were all the red blood cells were clumped together because the ionic charge wasn't there. It didn't, the charge in the cells wasn't available to repel and keep them separated. Well, when you took the TeloYouth, you re-energized the tissue and the cells, and you recreated this ionic charge, and then facilitated the ability for the water to work as part of this whole electromagnetic field that we create. So we have a very special guest today. So Dr. Tina, I'm going to turn it back to you and let you introduce our guest.
Sounds great. Okay, and we know that hydration is critical for rejuvenation, and we are the Rejuvenation Company, and we're so excited to have Dr. Althea Myrie on today. She has been practicing for 20 years plus in naturopathy from Texas, New York, and Europe, and works with clients with a wide range of conditions. And Dr. Myrie, I just want to make sure that we can hear you. Are you on? Unmuted. Let's see.
Yes, okay. Can you hear me now? Good afternoon.
Yes, coming in just great. Well, thank you and welcome to our call today.
Well, thank you for the invitation. It's a very important topic in my world, is always water, water and more water. To your point about Dr. Chris, about the blood cells clumping together, and the TeloYouth was helping to make that happen. What I always start with the fact that our plasma, our blood, is 90% water. So in as much, you might as well say blood is water. And I think that most people have that awareness of how much of your body functions solely with water. So if blood plasma is 90% water, we have to focus on that. So the other aspect about the ionic charge that you spoke about, Dr. Chris, and the clumping of the blood cells, which we call rouleau, when those blood cells clump together, we're not receiving enough oxygenation to the cells, because it's your blood that transports oxygen to the cells. And clearly, with the blood cells clumping together, a natural blood thinner, if your blood is 90% water, what is going to be a natural blood thinner that will make the blood cells unclump is water in addition to TeloYouth. This is where the power of the combination comes into play, because how much more benefit would you get apart from just taking TeloYouth, and you have the ionic charge and the blood cells all separated, and that separation was an indicator of increased oxygen supply. What happens if you add more water? Then you're going to have even greater impact with the TeloYouth as to how it can help the body to regenerate and fuel itself and to heal. Water's a big deal to me because most of us have heard the statement, oh goodness, you know you need 8 glasses of water a day. Well, quite frankly, that doesn't really mean a whole lot to me. It goes in one ear and out the next. So the question is, why is it so vital in how many different ways? First thing to understand, and people will always say to me that, well, I'm getting fluids into my body. that does not count. The human body, in order to get the kidneys, where does water transport happen in your body? Through your lymphatic system, through your kidneys predominantly. And for that to happen, the fluid transport requires plain water. So you have things in the shop, or as you call it, the store, like vitamin water. You say vitamin. So vitamin water is not water. That is an illusion, and it's a marketing strategy to keep you away from real water that will make you well, and vitamin water will make you sick. So what I say to people, if you dip a tea bag or put a drop of lemon or anything into your drinking water, the molecular structure has changed and it is no longer recognized by the body as water that it can do its job with. I mean, I know everybody going, oh, I hate the taste of water. Do I really have to drink that water? And you do change it. It's no longer water. The body says, I can't use this to do my work. I need plain water with nothing in it. And so the molecular structure stays intact as water. The other thing people do, which I mustn't forget, is about the lemon in the water. When you add lemon to your water, they say it makes you alkaline. That is not true. The human body is a chemistry set. And so when you put that lemon in a glass of water, the water in the glass becomes alkaline. The error they have made is that when we then drink that water, we all have different pH levels, meaning are we acid, are we alkaline? A cancer patient would be 5.5 pH. That's pure acid. A healthy person, 7.3. Where are we in the middle of that? And so what happens is if you're then having lemon in your water, unless you are already 7.3, which means you're alkaline, that lemon water will change your chemistry inside your body to more acid. You will become more acidic. And the only reason I learned this, I had a patient, a 5.5 patient, that was telling all her numbers were just going the wrong way. And I said one day, explain to me, tell me everything you put in your mouth from the time you wake up till the time you go to bed, because you're doing something wrong. And what was it she was doing? She was already 5.5 pH. She made herself drop even lower. She was drinking lemon to improve the taste and probably thinking it would make her alkaline all day long. Once we stopped that, then she improved. So that's a misnomer based on if you put it in the glass, yes, it will be alkaline only in the glass, not in your body. Lemon juice in the morning is excellent and when you wake up, because it will help the liver to detoxify. I've known people that have dropped belly fat and weight by drinking lemon juice on waking every morning with warm water. Then it is useful. The rest of the day, it is not. And so the hydration, the water, the problem with the water, and everybody doesn't like water. I've been there, it took me years, you know, at some point my husband and I, we finally would buy a box of juice, which is just pure unadulterated sugar is what we're getting from these box juices. So we're fighting over the juice. You drank more than the half that you're supposed to have. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So then we bought a box each. And then at some point, many years ago, I said, this is ridiculous. There's no nutritional value in this juice. Why are we drinking a whole box each, which is a quart? And it's doing more harm than any good. So I decided at that point for my children and myself and my husband that no more juice was coming into my house. The only thing that was going to come in my house is water. And believe me, it was painful. The transition is that you want to have the juice, something with flavor. But I knew the value outweighed my cravings. And so I forced myself. And what I did learn, we all have a thirst signal for water. When we have had everything but water for many years, the thirst signal for water goes to the base of the brain, to the bottom. What I've noticed, I can do it 1,000 times with 1,000 people who look at me like, this lady's crazy if she thinks I'm going to like water. I don't think so. Never. And they go away, my clients, and I say, okay, I want you to only drink, force yourself, 3 quarts of water a day, which is what the body needs. The concept of half your body weight does not work. People need 3 quarts a day. And the reason, unless they have kidney issues and dialysis, that's obviously a different story. But if you do not have that, the environment has become so hostile that we need more water just to counter how to function our ability to function is being reduced. We now have 5G, we have radiation poisoning. You need more water. If you're in a hot climate, 100 and something degrees in Texas, I mean, it's not even a temperature, it's ridiculous. You are losing so much water through sweat, you need to go to a gallon a day because you're not making up for the loss. And so all my clients, they said, yes, we look to you as if you're a crazy woman. We're never going to like water. We went away, followed your instructions, forced and drank the 3 quarts a day for 6 weeks. And what happened in that period of time is the thirst signal for water, it raised up week by week from the base of the brain and it went to the top of the brain. And I realized this when I did it. After that period, my brain's looking for water all day. I have no problem with water, and anybody else I've laid down the gauntlet or the challenge, they have found that they also like water, and it's simply you have transferred the thirst signal from the base of your brain to the top of your brain. And then it's easy to drink water from there on, and not be whinging. So that's an important aspect to understand. The other, as my sisters pointed out to me, I'd forgotten about, the signal for food, hunger, and for thirst is the same signal. So sometimes it pays people, especially those trying to lose weight, is actually, they've said, half an hour before a meal, which is then when it helps. It takes half an hour for the water to reach your stomach, is to drink 1 or 2 glasses of water. And simply because you will only eat your hunger, your thirst will have been satisfied. So they are the same signal. So sometimes people are overeating, but they are eating their thirst, not their hunger. So it's another thing to understand about how the body works when it comes to water. The other crisis we have that Dr. Chris mentioned, or was it Dr. Tina, about the severe dehydration. In America, you consume lots of caffeine, whether it's through sodas or through coffee. And in England, they're about the tea. So when they're common as muck, they go, anyone for tea, lovey? Anyone for tea? And, all day is tea. Now, 1 cup of coffee will remove 4 glasses of water from your body. 1 cup of tea will move 3 glasses of water from your body. Now, I've already said that plasma, your blood, is water. So you are continually depleting your volume of blood because they are one and the same. And so I don't like to be serious all the time, but there was someone on a plane that sat next to Dr. Killjoy. So she says to me, of all people, I don't ever drink water. We got into a conversation. I never drink water. At that point, I explained to her about the blood is water, and that if you don't drink it, you are now, and I saw her with the sodas and everything else she was drinking, that you are now removing water from your blood. Now, she informs me that she has a clotting disorder, which is why we engaged in the conversation, where her blood clots, it gets too thick. And then you look at me and tell me you don't drink water and you have a blood clotting disorder. She said to me when I explained to her what the caffeine was doing, what the sodas were doing, and that she's losing all this water, which is basically reducing the level of blood in her body. Most Americans, if you look at the volume of blood, it is too low, which puts a stress on all your organs, your kidneys, your heart in particular, goes into stress mode because it does not have enough blood volume in your body because you're depleting it with caffeine. and you are not putting it back. For most people, 1 or 2 glasses is not going to make it. If I say we need 3 quarts a day for the daily functions, and you drink, I don't know how many cups of coffee, you just wiped out how much of the water you need for the day to function. She said to me, no, I've heard we need water, but it's never made any, it made no difference to me. But she said, no one's broken it down the way that you have. And she could not get the flight attendant fast enough to give her water. And this is a woman that tells me she never drinks water, but once it was broken down, she understood the harm that she was inflicting on her own body with her blood so thick. And she was not thinning the blood with water, but just keep on making it thicker and thicker with what she's drinking. And so she couldn't get water fast enough. She was gasping for it. It was wonderful. So the words did not fall on deaf ears. But this is the importance of water. We often, all of you on this call, you follow, you're looking at your good health, you take good products, but we never optimizing the effects of the benefits of the product we're taking. So I'm like, how do you optimize TeloYouth? The most critical factor is water. How do you optimize? Some of you have your PEMF machines. How are you going to optimize the use of those units? You need to have water. So always you hydrate before you use one of the frequency machines, simply because water is a conductor for electricity. And so again, the power of I am seeing with the TeloYouth is increased when I can increase hydration in my clients. Because the other side of that coin, the flip side, is that the detox, I've noticed when I took it, I have some liver issues that I need to address or have been addressing, but I got very hot, which told me the only organ that makes you hot if you don't have a fever or COVID, is your liver. So your liver is what heats your body up. Women with hot flushes, it's your liver. You process the hormones through the liver. And so I got very hot, which indicated, okay, TeloYouth's working on my liver. My 2 detox organs are my kidney and liver. Then I need to increase my water to flush out. So in comes TeloYouth trying to detox and move these things out. But if I don't have enough water, then TeloYouth will start moving these things, but how are they going to get out the door? With great difficulty. And then we have headaches and we have different things going on due to this lack of hydration. And the brain is high. Is it 85% of the brain is water? I mean, none of this, we're not educated in any of this, obviously, because good health is bad for business, okay? So they trained us well. They told us, oh, be sophisticated, have wine with your meals. Absolutely wonderful. We're so clever. The fact is that you are then disrupting your digestion. If you have water half an hour before your meal, you aid digestion. What you drink after your meal, you stop digestion. When you eat your food, you produce 2 acids in your stomach acids to digest that meal. If you wash it down with some acidic Coca-Cola, the digestion is not going to happen. Anything you drink after your meal, you are disrupting the digestive process. And so that's another problem about drinking water. Many of you drink, some of you here drink alkaline water. The stomach needs acid to digest food, not alkaline. So alkaline water equally should not be drunk half an hour before a meal, is about the maximum you can do. But certainly with or after a meal, you would not use alkaline water, because you are going to completely disrupt the stomach acids to digest your food. They will turn to alkaline and you will have no digestion. So these are things to understand about multifacets about water and how it impacts your health without the right knowledge to use it appropriately. When in America, we're looking at dialysis patients, they can't build enough dialysis wards or beds. This is ridiculous. And we're back to the coffee or the caffeine. Medically, I had a cousin that said when she had to have her transplant for her kidney, or when she had to go on dialysis, her kidney shrunk to the size of a pea. And you heard me correctly. Pea-sized? How the heck does my good kidney get down to a pea? And I'm like, okay, so the medical term is atrophy. I love the terms because they don't really tell you in English what is going wrong. I put it in simple English. If you keep drinking that caffeine and not drinking water, which is the main organ, the kidney predominantly needs water to function. When you urinate, it's water. If you are continually removing the water, not available to your kidneys, and then caffeine is a diuretic, so you're draining out even more water, what happens to the kidneys? Atrophy is that they shriveled up and dried up to the size of a pea because of our lifestyle habits and no understanding of what we're doing to ourselves. And you know, your good, your bad eating habits creates lots of business. And so the atrophying, I mean, how can they have so many dialysis patients right now? The other, of course, is the sweet drinks carry these chemicals, high fructose corn syrup in your packages and your drinks, which is that fake sweetener. It causes inflammation of your kidneys, and that will cause you to end up on dialysis. And there are many studies showing how the sweeteners in your drinks will increase your blood pressure. And how does it do that? It does it by inflaming your tissues. Everybody knows the word, most of you, what inflammatory is. But it's the same as when you put inflammatory foods in your mouth, and people that are overweight, you hear the word flame. In that word, inflammation means that flame, there's a fire on, and you are the fire. How can the body put the fire out? It has to bring water. And that means a person that's overweight, very often they have allergies, they're eating inflammatory foods, and the only way the body can help put the fire out is to make them store water, excess water. So people that go on the scale and they lose weight quickly when they change their diet, like you can put on 10 pounds in 2 weeks or drop it in 2 weeks, that is because there is inflammation. You're eating foods that you're allergic to that cause you to go into inflammatory state. And if you're inflamed, you're going to carry water. You cannot lose fat that quickly. The only thing you can lose that fast is water. So why is my body carrying that amount of water? Because I'm eating foods that are causing the fire to be turned on, which is inflammation. Again, with the other thing I had mentioned to doctors that I would cover somewhat briefly is that we have these water channels in our body, which are a gating system. There are 13 water genes in our body, and they are water channels. And they were found, I think, in 1992. Most people have no idea that we have these water genes, but all your genes are made of proteins. And they are a gating system. And so the water genes are very important, but again, here we go again. They need water, not Coca-Cola. They need water, not orange juice. And I might add, they sell you these drinks, and it's the unsweetened orange juice. I had a client in my clinic, and she says, well, when I start saying we have to cut all the sugar, so everybody starts gravitating to, oh, can I do honey? Can I do the unsweetened orange juice? So I said, okay. If you look at the back of the box of the orange juice, it says 5% fruit. So you then have to explain to me, what is the other 95% making it sweet? And she says, oh, how can I be so stupid? I said, no, you're not stupid. You're just well programmed to believe what you see on the box. It's impossible that it is unsweetened. That is total nonsense. And so it's just a marketing game. And here we go, where we have too much sugar. Now, these water genes affect a number of diseases. They are called aquaporins, and AQUAPORINS. Aquaporins, there are 1 to 13. One of them controls the lens of the eye with glaucoma. Aquaporin 2, I believe, controls the movement of water across the cells in nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. It's a form of diabetes that comes through the kidneys. Now, if a medical doctor gives a patient lithium, medical lithium, they know it can cause nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. But what they do not know is the reason why it does is because when you take medical lithium, it attacks or suppresses or pushes down aquaporin number 2. So it's either a genetic defect if you have that disease, that you're born with a mutation or a defect on your gene, or it's being created by, induced by a drug. But either way, the aquaporin number 2, which is that water channel, is not moving water across to help the patient with diabetes. So very often a diabetic does extremely well when they have alkaline water, simply because those water channels, that gating system is shut. And remember, a diabetic, they have all these conditions. I mean, they start out slowly and then escalate to they need dialysis. They then escalate to congestive heart failure. But the predominant reason is because they are highly acidic, and they have no chance because of that family history and their gene pool. That gating system never opens to allow the acid to flush out. Now, most diseases, as I said about inflammation, are controlled by, where are we acid or are we alkaline? And the acidic feeds the cancer, feeds the infections, feeds everything. But this poor diabetic that's born with this genetic profile cannot open the water channel that's relevant to lower the acid levels. So they keep building the acid, so they keep building disease. And so the aquaporins, if you have aquaporin number 4, I believe, controls sickle cell disease, which is what Black people have and Mediterranean Greeks have. But sickle cell is about red blood cell hydration. There is no hydration in their red blood cells because they have a genetic mutation that does not allow this water gene to help them. So drinking that alkaline water would help those with this genetic profile, where these water genes, just the gating system is not working. Doctors, did you have any questions for me?
I just so appreciate your knowledge and the experience there in your practice, and it's what we face all the time. I can see why so many individuals seek you out, Dr. Althea. I wanted to comment a little bit, just to reemphasize, we are so energy depleted. We're a caffeinated society, and we seek out this caffeine in order to get this false sense of re-energizing, but it's really the foundation we need to build back. And Dr. Tina, on this next slide, can you just bring that up? Yeah, there you go. So, water's created by your mitochondria, is what I mentioned earlier, and has a mission in your body. It's a mission tied to energy and information transfer of wireless data from the sun and the magnetic field from the earth. So it plays such a key role because your mitochondria make the like a battery in your body by moving the ions of phosphorus, sulfur, selenium, all the things that we need to have this quantum battery to connect for the energy. And also, Dr. Althea, you mentioned the hostile environment, the chemical pesticides that are coming from the agribusiness that leaches into the groundwater, the disinfectant products that come from, our industrial disinfectants that leach into our water system, and those like the chlorines and the bromines and the iodines. And we all know about the chlorine in our tap water. Then the pharmaceuticals, Dr. Tina, I've heard you bring this up many times before about all the pharmaceutical byproducts that just flush into our water system that doesn't get filtered out. So the tap water is pretty hostile. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Tina. Do you have any questions for Dr. Althea? I just love her presentation. It's so powerful.
Oh, thank you. No, well, I guess one of the questions that I have for you, Dr. Myrie, is do you see with your clients that you give TeloYouth to, do you see them become more thirsty? Have they mentioned any of that to you?
Yes, that has happened. I had one person in particular in Texas, and he said, because I called to say, well, I test everything on me first, and I noticed that there was a big difference if I was more hydrate. So I started doing 2 glasses of water, 16 ounces every time I take the tablet. So I was ringing a client to tell him to increase the water each time he takes the tablet because it has more increased benefits. And he said, well, you're right. I'm noticing I'm so dehydrated. I need more water. I've been drinking more even before I called, simply because he recognized that he was getting dehydrated. You've got TeloYouth working on your mitochondria. It's doing stem cells. It has a lot of work to do. And I'm saying your blood is water. And so that would make sense. You're putting fuel in the car because you will have the car has a long way to go, 150 miles. You can't do it with less fuel. And the water, for me, is almost becoming a catalyst or a fuel for the product. And so the dehydration from taking it makes sense because the body has the ability with this tablet to do so many pieces of work in the body. You know, it's like a manufacturing plant, and you've either got you've got hands in the pot all making the manufacturing plant work, but you need water because it's going to control the blood. And so, yes, I've had that response that they've actually, on their own, naturally needed more water. And I've just come to the conclusion that dehydration is coming about because of the amount of work that the TeloYouth is directing the body to do. As you said, like the conductor in an orchestra is giving the body instructions, start fixing this here, that over there. I had a client that said to me that she had pain in the back of her head, but she said, it's where I've had an accident years ago, and I believe that there's repair work being done there. And she makes a good point. And so with all that work that needs to be done, we need water because we need blood to transport and do all this manufacturing. So yes, I have seen that. The other funny story I'll give you, though, that I told the doctors before was that I had a pastor was put on a call with me on a Sunday morning. And there was a group of people, they opened up the line, they were all on the line and said, we want you to tell the pastor about the water. So I said to the pastor, I chose the right story by chance, but I said to him, oh, I was in London and there was a female taxi driver I have sometimes, and her flask rolled to the back of the vehicle. And you, of course, say the flask. Flask, I think I got it right. So the flask, I say the flask. So the flask rolls to the back. And I said, oh my goodness, someone's left their flask in the back of it. She said, no, that's my coffee. You know, Dr. Killjoy's brain is busy now. So I make a quick calculation. She's sitting in this car all day drinking coffee, not a hint of water anywhere. So I said to her, tell me something. Do you not get palpitations and irregular heartbeat? Her eyes look immediately in the rearview mirror at me, going, how do you know that? And I said, well, the coffee. You literally, what controls the heartbeat is magnesium. When coffee and sugar go in, magnesium goes flying out the door. So coffee in, magnesium out. Sugar in, magnesium out. Now magnesium controls your heartbeat, regulates your heartbeat. And when you are deficient, you get cramps in your legs at night, is normally magnesium deficiency. An irregular heartbeat is definitely a magnesium deficiency, but you deplete the magnesium by constantly having caffeine and sugar or caffeine all day. So I said to her, that is why you were having these palpitations. And furthermore, you were taking blood away from yourself because you were removing 4 glasses of water with every cup of coffee you have in that flask. Now, at this point, they're all on the open line and they all burst into laughter. And I'm going, why are you all laughing? Well, they said the pastor just threw his whole pot of coffee down the sink. So I said, oh, okay, pastor. So tell me, did you get the rapid heartbeat? He said, oh, yes. He said, I went to the hospital and my heart was beating really fast. And I said to him, yes, and they didn't find anything wrong with your heart, did they? He said, no. I said to him, the next time you have the problem, you take the pot of coffee with you and make sure you drink it all while you're on their machine, and then they will see the problem. So I think the pastor at that point stopped drinking coffee. Okay?
Great story. Great story. Thank you. You know, the other thing, I can feel the questions from everyone on the line. I mean, I can feel it. So I think I'm going to start to try to bring up some things that they might be thinking of, like, well, what kind of water should I be drinking? And, I would say, first of all, because Dr. Chris mentioned that our tap water is absolutely toxic, there isn't a place in America that you can drink water where it's pure and clean from the tap. It's just not going to happen. There's so much leaching into our groundwaters and in our city water. It's going to be very difficult. So reverse osmosis, is really an option here where you need to truly purify your water. And my home, it's purified as it comes in. So the shower, the bath, everything is cleaned out before it even touches my skin, or you breathe it in the shower. And it's really amazing what you can find out there now for whole house filtration systems. It's become very, very popular. Now, when you do drink reverse osmosis water or purified water, it does take the minerals out of the water, so you can add minerals back in. And we're not going to go into all of the details about water. There are so many questions about all of that. And we don't want to talk about any systems out there. Is this system better than another system? That's all research that you need to do on your own. So today was about the importance of water and how important it is to rejuvenation, and why when you take your TeloYouth, you might seem a bit more thirsty. And it's because your body is going into those rejuvenation processes and you need to support it with more water. Dr. Chris, do you have anything to add?
No, I think we've kind of wrap it up here. This has been just a phenomenal call I know for me, I hope everyone enjoyed it. And remember, this is educational and training purposes only. We're not here to substitute for any type of professional advice. Any type of issues that you have, make sure you work closely with your health practitioner and challenge those practitioners and ask them, what do they recommend as far as good, clean water and devices to use, and start educating yourself. So thank you all so much